In this film I've come to low force on the River Tees, and I'm going to show you some of the exact locations that they used to film the First World War drama 1917.
The first thing we're going to do is cross the Winch Bridge. The original bridge was built in 1741, but this one's just recently been refurbished. It's nice and solid, and it crosses the Tees at a narrow point just below the second fall of low force. And once across the bridge we'll turn right. Now I don't want to put a spoiler in, I'm not going to ruin the film for you if you haven't seen it already, but 1917 is set in France in that year, and it's a very simple story but very effectively filmed and dramatically told. And even though it's all set over in France, there's bits of it where they've used filming locations in the UK. And low force was one of them. And in part of the film, the Lance Corporal's getting chased out of the ruined village, and he makes this flying leap off a ruined bridge and down into some water, really turbulent rapids. And that's the first time you see him in the river. But that bit actually isn't filmed here in Teesdale, but it is on the Tees. They filmed it down at the Tees Barrage at the White Water Centre. Really turbulent, and they could control the water, and you can see the rocks that he's bumped into. They were placed as part of the film set down at the Tees Barrage with CGI behind.
One of the reasons that they couldn't film the rapid section of the film here in Teesdale is that just above low force the River Tees is quite wide. Even though it has some turbulent sections, they're uneven, unsafe perhaps, and so down at the Whitewater Centre they could control the whole setup. The first time that low force makes an appearance is straight after the rapids, as the corporal slips over this first section of low force. He then drops down over the main section of low force into the plunge pool. They've exaggerated the height of the waterfall here. It was done by drone, so you get this downward look into the pool itself.
Once Corporal Schofield tumbles over the waterfall and disappears under the pool, the river calms, flattens out. And for that bit, they used not only the Tees Barrage, but also a section of the Tees here just below Winch Bridge. And that's where we're going now.
Once you're on the Winch Bridge, look right, downstream. You'll see that the Tees is now flowing through a narrow channel, which is steeply sided. And it's down here that they've done some more filming. The river here flows at a much calmer pace. And from water level, you can look across and see the rocky edge to the river, which looks so similar to that shown when the corporal is holding on to the log as he drifts downstream. Next we move a little further downstream through the wood. It's really muddy here, and do take care, because if you try to get down to some of these locations, the edges of the river are very steep and slippy. From this point they filmed Schofield as he continued to drift downstream holding onto the log. They CGI'd a cherry tree on the far bank. but the two tall pine trees were the things that I identified from watching the film. Another 30 metres down the bank is this point, where they placed the dead tree that was choked with bodies, and where Schofield got himself out of the water. Once out of the water, he gets himself onto the bank and leans against this tree, which I actually thought was part of the film set. But no, here it is. And then he climbs further up onto the bank and away from the river. Then he climbs higher up into the woods, past some dead trees, which once again I thought were actually part of the film set. But no, they're here, even the one that's blown like it's been hit by a shell. He continues to climb up the steep slope. Much higher up the bank, he then walks into a dense forest where there are some other soldiers. But sadly, that's an edit, because there is no forest here, there's just a dry stone wall. There is, however, a decent patch of wood over to the right, so I had to wander up to there to see if that was possibly the place where the group of soldiers were sitting. But it's the wrong type of wood, and why would they bring all of those extras up here just to film one short scene? They must have filmed it probably down in Salisbury Plain.
And that's about it for this film. I know it's something totally different to what I normally do, but I must admit I'm fascinated by the way films are made, especially when they're made here on your doorstep. If you haven't seen it, I recommend going to see 1917. It's a brilliant film, and as usual, if you like the film, just click the like button, and even better, subscribe to my channel. But as ever, thanks for watching.